The key legislation governing data protection in Australia is the Privacy Act 1988, which also contains its set of Australian privacy principles. These principles apply to APP entities, including public agencies and private organizations, and provide a number of rights to individuals, such as the right to access and to be informed, as well as various obligations for organizations. Similar to the GDPR, the Privacy Act refers to personal information and outlines specific requirements for the processing of special categories of data. However, the Privacy Act does not explicitly refer to data controllers or data processors, nor does it include provisions regarding data protection officer appointment or data protection impact assessments. It does, however, contain provisions in relation to extraterritorial scope, as it applies to acts or practices outside of Australia that have an Australian link. Over the years, the Privacy Act has also been periodically supplemented. For instance, on the 22nd of February 2018, the notifiable data breaches provisions of the Privacy Act came into effect. This scheme requires mandatory notification of all eligible data breaches to the Office of the Australian Information Commissioner, as well as affected individuals. These developments look set to continue as the legislative approach to data protection in Australia enters another period of change. In 2017, the Treasurer directed the Australian Competition and Consumer Commission to conduct an inquiry into digital platforms, which looked at the effect that digital search engines, social media platforms, and other digital content aggregation platforms have on competition in media and advertising services markets. In July 2019, the ACCC published its final report on the inquiry, which outlined a broad set of recommendations, 5 of which were directly related to privacy. These include amendments to the Privacy Act, introducing a code of practice for digital platforms, granting statutory rights for serious invasions of privacy, and introducing civil penalties for unfair contract terms under consumer law. The Australian government also passed the Consumer Data Right Bill in 2019, which introduced a consumer data right, commonly known as the CDR. The bill aims to improve consumers' ability to compare and switch between products and services in order to encourage competition between service providers and give consumers greater access to and control over their data. Furthermore, CDR data will have specific privacy obligations applicable to it instead of the APPs, which organizations should be aware of. The government highlighted that the CDR will first apply to the banking sector, followed by the energy and telecommunications sectors. However, the timeline for the implementation and launch of certain aspects of the CDR has been deferred from February 2020 to July 2020. These new developments, alongside the existing Privacy Act and the potential for its further amendment in the future, means that organizations need to keep abreast of the changing regulatory landscape in Australia. To continue researching key compliance requirements in Australia, use jurisdiction dashboards to quickly access the latest regulatory developments and best practice from leading experts.